We're going to keep these. We're not going to change the font size or font styling too much. We're going to pretty much just change the color of these. Let's see, what color do we want to set this? You know what? Let's see. I think I actually have custom colors for these labels. Right, let me actually pull this in. You can actually see this. There we go. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm actually just setting the hex color directly. This is definitely easier. Let's see. Actually setting it. Yeah, this is the one thing I don't like about Xcode. It seemed like it very fussy, very fussy, very. Yeah, you're gonna have to. Okay, there we go. It is. It's setting. There we go. Now that we have the colors, the bold set, let's actually increase this a little bit. I'm actually looking just to make sure. There we go. Okay, 7. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, 7. There we go. Okay. Now that we have pretty much the storyboard laid out, now let's move our attention to creating a custom subclass for this, so we can start to add the data and we can actually see this running on a real or simulated device. But for now, we're going to just go with the simulated device. Okay, so let's see. Let's create this. Let's just open this in a new tab. Let's scroll down. Before we actually change the table view, let's actually create the subclass cell. Okay, let's do that. Here we go. So let's just call it RecipeCell. Yeah, Swift subclass. Yep, that's correct. Yep, right location, create. Okay, now that we actually have the subclass created, now let's go back to the storyboard and declare this cell as a subclass. And to do that, I'm going to go over here to the scenes, click the cell that we actually worked on, and click this little tab, go over here and call it RecipeCell. Yep, there we go. Now, to actually show the custom class, we're going to simply click this right here. It should bring up this. Let's see, can we make this? Yeah, let's close this out for now. Move this over. Yeah, let's see. So it's actually not showing. There we go, manual. Guess we're going to just do that. Cell. Yep, there we go. Now from here, we're going to start to link our UI views to the actual subclass. Now to do this, we simply just hold the control key. Same thing when you're creating your constraints. So we're going to drag it from the UI element to the class. Let's just put it above the awake from nib. We're going to call this so we call it image view. Yeah, that works. Okay, now this is a big time, I guess you could say, hiccup that a lot of developers come across when they first creating their custom cells. As you can tell from what I'm doing, I actually added a little extra character in front of the UI view because I'm trying to not conflict with the built-in UI view. that's a part of the normal UITableViewCell. So that's pretty much why I have to add the little click, because if I don't add it, Xcode is going to complain. So I just click that and click connect. Okay, we're going to just keep going through and adding all of our outlets. Okay, come on, Xcode. Okay, come on. Call this title label. Yeah, that's good enough. Call this, what should I call this? Like counter label. Yeah, it's a good name. Let's call this one come on, Xcode, come on. There we go. Review counter label. Yeah. Okay, let's just close this for now and give us a little bit more space. Call this BSC script label. Yeah, we can do that. Now, I'm pretty sure if you've done any like what I've just done, that should be pretty standard. If you've done a little bit of any iOS coding, all I've done was simply link the UI elements from Storyboard to our subclass cell. Pretty simple stuff. Just make sure you just hold down the control key on your keyboard and drag it over. Okay, now what we're gonna have to do is link the stars to the subclass. Now what we can do is simply add each image as star image view. Okay, we can do that and go through each one and come up and say, hey, star image view 2. We could do that, but that's a little tedious and it definitely does not scale that well when you start to build larger applications. So what we're going to do is not even do that. We're going to do something a little bit different. Let's just remove this. What we're going to do is actually create what they call a outlet collection. Go right here, outlet collection, and then we're going to just simply name this star image views. And as you can tell, what it created is a outlet that's basically an array of UI image views. And what this will allow us to do is to reference all of our images from within our subclass without creating a bunch of outlets for each individual image, each individual star image. So just go through, make sure we have each image added to the collection. Okay, that does that. And one other thing that we're going to need to do with our star images is actually update their tag label. Now, I typically do not use the tag label when I create my UIs because, quite frankly, it doesn't really scale that well. It doesn't scale that well because, for one, it's not so obvious. A lot of developers don't use it, and so when they come across your code, they're not gonna really see it, and they might look it over, and when it comes time to update this cell, add maybe extra labels or images, whatever, they might overlook it. And so that creates a maintenance nightmare because typically people don't use it, in which in turn, if they don't use it, they might change something and not change it in the correct way and might add breaking code to your code base. And so That's why I typically don't use it on a day-to-day basis. But for this simple project, we're gonna use it, and we're gonna use it just to make our lives a little bit easier. So what we're gonna do is start from the first star, go to its tag label. You should be able to find it over here, and just change it to 1. Why we change it to 1 instead of just leaving it to 0? Because when we come time to reference this specific image later, we don't want to start with 0, because all other UI elements default to 0. So we're going to need to at least start with some number greater than 0. Go to the next one and add 2, 3, keep going down the line, 4, and this one should be 5. There we go, 5. There we go. Now that pretty much finishes our UI construction in Storyboard. Now, the next step we're going to move to is actually adding the code that will drive this UI. So from here, let's just simply create a new tab, and we can actually close. Storyboard is definitely takes up a lot of resources. That's probably why it's skipping or cutting out right now. But let's just go back to the MasterViewController. We're gonna close this side. Now we're gonna make a single view. We're gonna close that little side panel. Now we're just gonna do one single view. From here, what we're gonna do is first find our cellForRow function, and from here we're gonna pretty much leave it the same, except one thing. We are going to want to say that the cell that comes back from the DQ reusable function, we're going to want to say that that cell is of type RecipeCell. There we go. From here, you're going to want to pretty much just comment that out. We're not going to really use it, but you know what? Let's just remove it. Like, if you can, remove commented code. Do not leave commented code in your code base, because that's another thing that creates a maintenance nightmare. Okay, now that we have that, now we actually need our data. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna type it all out. I'm pretty much gonna just copy and paste it from an earlier project. If you get stuck at any moment and you'd like to see the code for this project, don't forget to go to the description for this video and navigate to the GitHub repository. That way you can see the code and even download the Xcode project and run the code for yourself. If you have any comments or suggestions of how I should change things or update things, or even a new series I should create, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. Remember to subscribe and add the notifications so you don't miss out on the next episode